She was a foreign widow with nothing left to lose and no future ahead of her. In a world where survival meant power, Ruth lost her husband, her home, and everything she knew. But when one bold decision changed her destiny, the forgotten outsider began a rise no one saw coming. From heartbreak to royalty, from obscurity to legend. Yet the question remains, how did Ruth's extraordinary journey end? And why is her story still shaking the world thousands of years later? This is the rise and death of Ruth. During a devastating famine in Bethlehem, survival became a daily struggle for every family. Among them lived Elimelech, who chose to leave his homeland seeking hope elsewhere. Together with Naomi and their 2 sons, he journeyed toward the land of Moab. The foreign nation offered temporary relief, and the weary family finally settled there. For a brief season, life seemed stable, and their future appeared secure again. Yet unseen tragedy approached quietly, preparing to change Naomi's life forever. Elimelech suddenly died, leaving Naomi heartbroken and facing an uncertain future alone. Though grief overwhelmed her spirit, Naomi remained strong for her sons. In time, Mahlon and Chilion married local women named Ruth and Orpah, bringing happiness and hope back into Naomi's household. Nearly 10 years passed peacefully as the family built a new life in Moab. Then tragedy struck once more. Both Mahlon and Chilion died, leaving Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah alone in a harsh and uncertain world. One day, Naomi learned that the famine had ended and food had returned to Bethlehem. Determined to go home, she began the difficult journey back to Judah. Ruth and Orpah walked beside her, refusing to abandon their grieving mother-in-law. But Naomi urged them to remain in Moab and rebuild their lives. After many tears, Orpah kissed Naomi goodbye and returned to her people. Ruth, however, refused to leave. She chose loyalty over comfort and certainty, pledging to follow Naomi wherever she went and whatever hardships lay ahead. With unwavering faith, Ruth left everything familiar behind and continued toward Bethlehem. At last, the 2 women arrived in Bethlehem during the barley harvest. The townspeople welcomed Naomi warmly, amazed to see her return alive. Yet Naomi's heart remained heavy, believing hardship had stolen every blessing she once possessed. As harvest began, Ruth set out each morning to gather leftover grain behind the harvesters so she could provide food for them both. Though the work was exhausting, she remained grateful for every handful she collected. Without realizing it, Ruth had entered fields belonging to a wealthy and respected landowner named Boaz, a relative of Naomi's family. As Boaz inspected his workers, Ruth immediately caught his attention. Curious about the young woman laboring so faithfully, he asked his servants about her. They told him of her loyalty, her sacrifice, and the devotion she had shown Naomi since arriving in Bethlehem. Deeply moved by her character, Boaz welcomed Ruth warmly, encouraged her to remain in his fields, and instructed his workers to protect her. At mealtime, he invited her to eat with them, and secretly ordered his servants to leave extra grain behind for her to gather. That evening, Ruth returned home carrying far more grain than expected. Naomi immediately recognized that someone unusually kind had shown her favor. When Ruth mentioned Boaz's name, Naomi's eyes filled with renewed hope. She explained that Boaz was one of their family redeemers, a man who could legally protect their family and preserve their inheritance. Throughout the harvest season, Ruth continued working faithfully in Boaz's fields. And with each passing day, admiration and respect quietly grew between them. Seeing a hopeful future beginning to unfold, Naomi devised a bold plan that could change both of their lives forever. Following Naomi's instructions, Ruth prepared herself and respectfully approached Boaz one evening after the harvest celebration. As Boaz rested on the threshing floor, Ruth courageously requested his protection according to Israel's ancient custom of redemption. Awakened by her presence, Boaz listened carefully. Rather than rejecting her, he praised her integrity and promised to help. However, he explained that another relative held a closer legal claim and must be given the opportunity first. Before dawn, Boaz sent Ruth home with generous provisions as a sign of his sincere intentions. The next morning, Boaz went to Bethlehem's city gate, where important legal matters were settled before the elders. He assembled witnesses and presented the matter publicly. The closer relative initially agreed to redeem Naomi's property, but when he learned that marrying Ruth was part of the responsibility, he surrendered his legal claim. Before the gathered witnesses, the right of redemption passed to Boaz, who officially declared his intention to marry Ruth. News spread quickly throughout Bethlehem, and the community gathered to celebrate. After years of hardship and uncertainty, Ruth finally entered a season of peace. The marriage of Boaz and Ruth became a beautiful symbol of redemption, faithfulness, and God's providence. The people blessed their union, praying their family would be remembered for generations. For the first time in many years, stability returned to Naomi's life, and the woman who had once survived by gathering leftovers now shared in the abundance of God's blessings. Soon another blessing arrived that carried even greater significance. Ruth gave birth to a son named Obed, and celebration filled Bethlehem once again. The townspeople rejoiced with Naomi, whose bitterness had finally been replaced with joy. Years passed peacefully as Obed grew and eventually became the father of Jesse. Jesse, in turn, became the father of Israel's greatest king, David. Through Ruth's family, God established the royal line that would shape the history of Israel. As Ruth grew older, she witnessed blessings she could never have imagined during her darkest days. The foreign widow who had once arrived in Bethlehem with nothing became a beloved wife, mother, grandmother, and respected matriarch. Her life became a testimony that faithfulness, courage, and unwavering trust in God often lead to blessings far greater than we can see. Though Scripture records no dramatic account of Ruth's final days, her earthly journey eventually came to a peaceful end. She left this world surrounded by love, fulfillment, and an extraordinary legacy. Yet her influence continued long after her voice had fallen silent. Generation after generation carried forward the family line that would ultimately lead to Jesus Christ. From a foreign outsider to one of the most honored women in biblical history, Ruth's story reveals God's remarkable power to redeem ordinary lives for extraordinary purposes. Her life remains a timeless reminder that loyalty, faith, humility, and courage can transform not only one life, but generations to come. And so, the woman who arrived with nothing left behind a legacy that will never fade.